Between 1890 and 1930, the pyramid formation dominated football. Teams in the UK and around the world would spend 40 years playing variations of this system. What happens if you bring it to the modern era on FM 2008? Let's find out. And just like that, we've arrived at one of England's most historic clubs. In the 1880s, Preston North End won back-to-back First Division titles, utilising the very system we will today. The pyramid, or 2-3-5 formation, as we would refer to it, had many variations. Some preferred a more direct passing approach. Some discouraged passing altogether, insisting their players only dribbled the ball. We're going to employ the Scottish style, which emphasised shorter passing to get closer to the goal. And this is a team with some decent talent. Aged 18, Andy Carroll is just beginning his footballing adventure in Lancashire. In reality, he'd managed one goal during his loan at the club. Maybe this more attacking style will help increase those numbers. The most important player in this system, though, is the centre half. In modern times, that would be referring to a defender. Here, though, it refers to the central midfielder in the three. His role is that of an all-rounder, needing to get back in defence whilst also supporting his side's attacks. According to writer Willie Meisel, in this era, the centre-half is the most important player on the field. We also have talent in the full-back position, or as we would refer to it, the central defender. Yul Mwene spent 6 years with Preston, making 174 league appearances. I imagine he's going to be a very busy man this year. In reality, Preston would finish the 07-08 season in 15th place in the Championship, comfortably clear of relegation, but also adrift of the playoff places. Let's see what impact this 130-year-old tactic makes. The season would open with 3 back-to-back draws against Southampton, Burnley, and Ipswich Town. After finally securing a victory against Sheffield Wednesday, Leicester City would visit Deepdale. 3-0 up in 50 minutes, things were looking good. The defensive vulnerabilities of the formation would soon be exposed. Essentially, this tactic is 5 defenders and 5 attackers, but the defence just lacks any width. Ian Hume would complete the comeback. Despite being in such a commanding position, the points would be shared. 4 defeats in the next 5 games would follow, before Preston offered one of their best performances of the season. Some nice passing in the build-up, before Hawley finishes. 6-0 on the road, 10-man Colchester were swept away. Moving towards the midway stage, the defensive frailties were becoming more and more apparent. Modern formations were exposing enormous areas of space in our back line. It would finish a humiliating 4-0 scoreline. With 25 matches played, Preston are sitting in 15th place. Remarkably, they are the second highest scorers in the division at this point. But unsurprisingly, they've conceded the most. Let's see what the second half of the season has in store. And the goals would keep coming in the northwest. Following this nice short passing move, Paul Gallagher gets the ball and fires beyond Dean Kiley. You may be wondering, why as Preston North End, we are playing the Scottish-style short passing game of the 1880s. And there is a reason for that. During their most successful era as a club, they relied heavily on Scottish imports, and logically enough, played the game in a very similar vein to those north of the border. Unfortunately, they aren't quite replicating the same levels of success 128 years later. After another barren spell of just 2 victories in 11 games, Blackpool would take a trip to their local rivals. Future Blackpool man Brett Ormerod would score the go-ahead goal, which proved to be decisive, a much-needed victory. The final match of the season would end in a 2-1 defeat to Scunthorpe. No goal more than this highlights the defensive vulnerability of this formation. A simple goal kick is in the back of the net in a matter of seconds. Here are the squad's full season stats. There's a lot to unpack here, but straight away my attention jumped to the low pass completion percentages of our defenders. Liam Chilver's 63 is atrocious by modern standards. This was a side which really did struggle to retain possession. The forward players, when they got on the ball, were effective though. Particularly Neil Mellor. The 2008 season in reality would really kickstart his career with Preston, and here he did the same. 28 goals and assists in all competitions was a great return. Imperative too were the creative qualities of Andy Carroll and Simon Whalley. With each registering 15 assists, they both finished in the top 3 creators in the entire division. But where did Preston finish in the table? Well, the second half of the season would be considerably worse, with the team just winning 4 games out of the remaining 21. In those games, they conceded 57 goals as they plummeted down to 20th place, 5 places worse off than where they finished in real life. But maybe we're comparing the wrong era. In Preston's 1890 title-winning season, they'd averaged 3.2 goals per match. Using these tactics in 2008, they'd only score 1.6 goals per match. Likewise, their defensive record would be a lot worse, on average conceding 2.3 goals every match, compared with just 1.3 in the 1890 season. Against all the odds, and using a formation 130 years old, Preston managed to avoid the drop. These tactics definitely had some benefits from an attacking perspective, but in the modern era, teams really did expose the lack of width in the defence. As the game continues to evolve though, who knows, maybe this style will make a resurgence.